Hey guys, welcome back to the next part of our series. Today we're going to continue with the leather parts of our character. Now, I did do one change during the, or off camera. I changed the ID map of this thing back to the light blue so that it was easier to select because it was yellow and it was conflicting with a couple of the leather things that we're going to be doing now. So let me show you the steps here. I downloaded this plain leather from the Substance Source library. And I really like this plain leather because it allows me to play with a lot of different options for the leather in a very easy to manage way. So I'm gonna grab this leather here, I'm gonna group it, I'm gonna call this group leather. And inside this, I'm definitely gonna change the scale. So I'm gonna go here into the material and I'm gonna increase the scale into such a distance that it matches the roughly the size that I would expect for this kind of things, which I think is something like that. Now, as you can see, it's very wrinkly, and most of my leather is actually really straight, like the wrinkles are placed by me. So I'm going to go here into the attributes, and there should be some sort of option to get rid of a little bit of that lumpiness. Yeah, here, like in the main thing, like fold intensity, let's lower this. There we go. So this is what I want. Now you can see here there's an issue with the cape. It seems like some sort of problem here with the different leathers. That's fine. I'll fix that later. But this difference in texture shouldn't be there. So let's focus on the leather for now. Now here on the leather, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna do a mask as well. So black mask. Right click. Let's go to color selection, and let's select. We're gonna select the whites. We're gonna select the yellows. And we're going to select the blues because all of the leather is going to live in that same element. Now you can see here that one of the bad things about the color selection is that we get this line. Now if we increase this map to 4K, we get rid of this element, but we can move the hardness and the tolerances slightly. However, if we do that, we also run the risk of actually hitting other things. In this case, I think it's okay. Now let's see what I did there because that shouldn't be there. There we go. Okay, that's better. So with that, most of our belts are now selected. Now there's other ways in which we can fix all of that stuff. There's of course a little bit of painting that we need to do, especially for like those areas right there where we need to manually go and paint the elements. But for now, this is a good blocking. Now, as you can see here in the reference, we actually have a couple of different types of leather. Like the gloves, it's a very dry, rough leather. This one is a lighter leather that also has a nice shine to it, and then we got this dark shiny leather on the element. So I think we are pretty close to the shiny leather. Let's call this shiny leather, and I'm just gonna move the color slightly less saturated, so darker in this case. Now, one of the most important things is the roughness. I think this, even though this should be shiny, it's a little bit too shiny for my taste. So I'm gonna go here into the roughness. Here we got the base roughness, and let's increase it just a little bit. So we do want this to shine nicely, like there on the little part here, but again, not that much. And now I'm gonna duplicate this thing, and I'm gonna change this into a rougher leather. So I'm gonna go again down here into basic parameters, or sorry, advanced parameters, go into main. Let's change the color, so it should be lighter. We can pick the exact color if we want to. We just need to have the reference here on hand. I'm just gonna use my color picker and grab the exact color. There we go. And now for the roughness, it should be way rougher. So we're gonna go here in the overall roughness. Right about there, that's good. Now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna mask this with a black mask, and I'm gonna paint with a white area the straps that are actually this color. So this is again one of the cool things about working with masks in a proper way. It's really easy to just paint everything that needs to be painted, because since we already are in the mask where only the leather works, this makes it so much easier. If we were to see the mask, that would be a very horrible mask, but for us, it works. That's exactly what we need. Now, I can see that this leather, I think it's slightly too light, so let's darken it a little bit in value. Just a little bit, something like that. And roughness, I think it's a little bit too shiny still. So let's increase the variation intensity here. So we have some patches where it's slightly rougher than others. That should work nice. There we go. That's better. See how there's a couple of interesting patches here and there. That's what we're looking for. What else? Okay, the gloves. Now the gloves, if we try to do symmetry here, I don't think we could do it because the character is not perfectly symmetrical. But let me try. See, no, it's not. We can try and move this though. We can. I think we can go here and go into the X and move this. Let me show the plane. There we go. And I think we can manage to. Where's the manipulator? There we go. Perfect. So I'm going to use the manipulator here to position this element right at the middle point. Let's see if I can move this up now. There we go. That's as close as we can get, I think. That way, when we do the gloves right here, should be fairly easy. Now, again, working broad strokes. So as you can see here, pretty much everything is this light leather, and we only have a little bit of the black leather inside. So it's easier to just go all the way in. Well, maybe not all the way to the hand, of course, but just paint everything in real quick. That way we blocked all of the surface really fast. And now, being more careful, I'll just invert the mask and start getting rid of the insides here. Like painting out the color. Cool. Now, the other thing is we actually could use the same masking colors that we did before, which I think you should. Yeah, why didn't we do that before? Sorry, I totally blanked out. So this is one way to do it in case you don't have the colors that we have, but we do. So I can just say, go here, go into my color selection and select again the yellows in this case. And there we go. So all the yellows will be this nice little color. Everything else is this shiny leather color. Now I'm gonna duplicate this again because I want an even rougher surface now for the hands. I'm gonna go into advanced parameters, main. Let's make this slightly darker, really rough, really rough, like that. I think we could benefit from a little bit more folds, maybe. We can discolor this a little bit. Yeah, I like that. We're gonna go black mask, and I'm gonna say add color selection, and we're gonna select the white, which should be the gloves there. There we go. So we have 3 different kinds of leathers. We have a very old rough leather right there on the hands. We have a shinier leather right here, which I think could be slightly darker as well. Let's go to the first leather, this one. Let's make it darker. Yeah, there we go. And then we got the rest of them. Now, these belts right here, I think in the concept they're the same color. I do see a little bit of variation, but these are not as light as what I have everywhere else. So I'm gonna take care of that. I'm gonna go into my this one right here. Let's add a paint layer. Let's turn off symmetry, and I'm just gonna remove them from the light element. There we go. Now, as you can see, there are going to be some places where things are not being painted very nicely. I'm going to show you real quick what we're going to do at the end. At the end of everything, we're going to grab a fill layer with a black color. We're going to use a completely black element, and we're going to add a black mask, a generator, or actually a fill layer, and we're going to use our ambient occlusion map, which is right here, to pretty much fill every single spot. Now this thing is of course inverted, so I'm gonna go here and say add levels, and we're gonna invert the ambient occlusion. So now the ambient occlusion should be, as you can see, on the crevices of everything. And if we do this properly, we should be able... That's not working as intended. Let's try the traditional just dirt generator. Oh, we have the ambient occlusion. Let's invert this. Wait, am I doing it? Oh, I'm doing it inside the leather. I don't want that. There we go. Boom, there we go. So we're gonna have this sort of dirt all over our character, and as you can see, that pretty much hides every single extra pixel that we have from the masks. Of course, this is way too intense, but you get the point, right? Like, this is what we're gonna do at the end. So that's why I'm not worrying too much about the little anti-aliasing things that we have there. However, we do need to worry about all of this other stuff, like this thing right there, this thing right there, those things. So I'm just gonna finish the metals now, which is the only thing that we're missing. I'm gonna grab, I really like my iron raw, this thing right here, because it's it gets some really nice textures to everything. And of course, I'm gonna make this darker, because you can see here that the metal is actually not as shiny. Yeah, it's kind of shiny though. Just gonna make it slightly darker and slightly rougher. And we're gonna add a group here, and we're gonna call this group metals. We're gonna say add a black mask, and we're gonna use our color selection to select, of course, the green color. And there we go. With this, guys, we're pretty much done with the whole blocking of our character. Like, every single piece of our character has the elements that it needs. What I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna take a little bit of time to just go and make sure that there's no weird things here. I need to go mask by mask and check that every single element has its proper masking elements. I'm pretty much just gonna paint and polish all of this here. See, for instance, that's some area that we can definitely paint to make it look nicer, so we don't see the harsh line there. So that's gonna take a little bit of time. I don't wanna waste all of your time. I'd rather have you guys start working on your textures as well. So just be mindful that once this is done, it's a very good thing to do to just go back and fix any remaining issues there with masking. For instance, this thing right here. And once that's done, we're gonna start working again piece by piece and giving them a little bit more life into the whole texture. Because right now, even though this looks cool, it's very flat. We don't have any depth, we don't have any history, we don't have any detailing, and we can add a lot of cool stuff to this thing. So hang on tight, and I'll see you back on the next video when we start working on all that stuff. Bye bye.